Hello everyone, welcome to Starship Sofa's HQ. Today I'm going to look at the 5 top one-hit wonders. Yes, ones that kind of blasted onto the scene, skyrocketed out of all known proportions, and then faded and gone, and writers have never achieved that greatness again. 5 one-hit wonders. What are they? So yes, today I'm going to look at my five one-hit wonder books. 5 novels, one's actually a short story that kind of came onto the scene and just like a meteorite kind of tore into the kind of science fiction firmament and then fizzled and died, and we haven't seen the likes of again. And neither has the authors, which I guess they wish they did. So, first up then is a short story, and it is The Cold Equations by Tom Goodwin. Now when this came out, like I say, it just kind of stormed the charts, you know what I mean? It was just all over the place. And it had its critics, do you know what I mean? It certainly did. But the story centers around this craft, this spaceship that was going on a kind of like a rescue mission to take supplies to a distant planet, and there was a stowaway on board, and the kind of pilot discovers this stowaway, and the rules of this ship are that no stowaways can be on board and they have to be jettisoned off. There isn't enough fuel, enough survival kind of kit on board to make the journey. And this is where the kind of criticism came of this story, that a lot of people were saying, there was no kind of margin for error in this story. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of, and it was, it's a pretty, I'll give the end of the story away. The story gets jettisoned out. And I think that's what kind of, for everybody who kind of, the kind of naysayers, it was that point where surely, these ships could have had built in a little bit more kind of safety margin if there was a stowaway on board. It was selected for one of the best stories before 1965. It was actually inducted into the kind of Hall of Science Fiction Fame, wherever that may be. And apparently I found out that John W. Campbell sent it back 3 times to kind of get re-edited, which kind of begs the question, kind of whose story was this? Was this Goodwin's story, or was this John W. Campbell's story? But nevertheless, it's a story that's kind of still there. I think you can get it on kind of Gutenberg, to be quite honest. It's still there and it's still doing great things. And it's a story that you need to read because, like I say, when it came out, everyone was talking about it. It was, and Goodwin never kind of captured and never recreated that again. The next one-hit wonder, and it kind of gets me there, it holds me there. This story, which actually turned into a novel as well, is Flowers for Algernon. Man, Daniel Keyes' story. Came out in a short story first, and then he kind of changed it over and made it into a novel, extended it into a novel. And I'll talk about this in other shows as well, but this is a quintessential, cracking classic book. The story, and I think this is what I kind of like about it, it's science fiction, but it's set, in our kind of time, and, there's no spaceship, there's no zap guns or anything like that. It's just about the kind of someone who's got learning disabilities or learning difficulties, and through kind of techniques or through kind of science becomes very clever. Do you know what I mean? And it's his kind of progression from being like, someone kind of difficult to grasp things to kind of just super clever than the kind of people that made him clever, you know what I mean? And then they kind of crash back down to earth. But for me, it's the character-driven story. Keyes hits the character spot on. And like I say, when this story came out, it won all the awards, do you know what I mean? And even, the short story won awards. When he changed it into a novel, they won awards. So this story has kind of had a life of its own. And it's just like one of the classics. But it was, again, never to be, Keyes never had that kind of hit again. And that's a bit like some of the other ones I've got kind of lined up now. Kind of literary writers, possibly, why don't they come back to kind of science fiction? Do you know what I mean? Another one-hit wonder, and I've mentioned this on worst science fiction novels, is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. When it came out, massive. I mean, I can remember kind of coming out and everyone talking about it, everyone reading about it. I did it, and like I say, check out the other video, you know what I mean? It just, for me, a hideously horrible book, but it just sold by the bucket loads. And I mean, this won the Pulitzer Prize for Best Novel. Do you know what I mean? It kind of, oh my God, like I could shake them, you know what I mean? But it was massive. And then again, do you know what I mean? Kind of, that's, you know, the one kind of science fiction avenue where he went down. Cormac McCarthy, has he come back? You know what I mean? Does he need to come back? Well, you know, be nice to think so. You know what I mean? Give us something cheerful this time. I mean, to be quite honest, his work isn't cheerful anyways. Do you know what I mean? But kind of that one for me, man, check out that your kind of worst science fiction books. It's in there. There's a hint. The next one-hit wonder is The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. Now, again, do you know what I mean? It came out. It was just, these kind of books that come out just skyrocketed. Do you know what I mean? The amount of kind of copies it sold was staggering. And again, you know, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Yeah, it gets you kind of possibly settled for life, but do you ever, you know, achieve that? Does that kind of halt a writer in, you know, trying to get this kind of process going, you know, and on the career there, and you get this one hit and then you can never recreate, and you're always chasing that goal. But this story sent around, like, this SETI picks up this kind of music from Alpha Centauri, I think it is, and they send out a spaceship to kind of go and investigate. And on this spaceship is a Jesuit priest. And it's the story about the kind of what happens to this Jesuit priest when he comes back, you know, what's happened as he goes out to kind of investigate what's happened, you know, and it's kind of split into kind of the investigation of like what happened and his kind of backstory as well on the kind of, you know, going out to the aliens. And like I say, The Sparrow just won everything. Brad Pitt's film company picked it up, you know what I mean, kind of was going to take it and make it into a film, but I think Russell kind of evoked the rights on that, and she wrote her own screenplay, but I don't think anything has come of it, to be quite honest. There might have been, I'm not too sure, but I know in 2006 Brad Pitt got the rights to it, but then's lost them. So who knows? We might see it on the film. Who knows? My final one-hit wonder, and this is the kind of the big one-hit wonder, is Carl Sagan's Contact. One novel, and I mean, he got paid in advance, $2 million, but at the time, 1981, this, you know what I mean, it was just kind of staggering. And it just had this massive print run, which kind of exceeded all expectations as well. You know, they were putting, Simon & Schuster, I think the publishers were putting all the kind of eggs in one basket here. And it just went unreal. Like I say, it just outsold its kind of first printing. And even today, it's kind of still going strong. Eventually, there was a film made of it as well, you know, with Jodie Foster, Contact. But before all that, even before the novel, I think it was possibly like a kind of a script. And like I say, Sagan developed it and, you know, took it into kind of novel form, and it just massive. You know, I think it's something like in the first 2 years, it sold nearly 2 million copies. Do you know what I mean? You're getting your money back. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a brave person kind of says, let's go with this. Let's put all our eggs in this basket. But it paid off. And like I say, but that one is the biggest one-hit wonder out there. Massive. So, I hope you enjoy this little kind of tinkle through the ivories of trying to find out the best one-hit wonders out there in science fiction. Do come back next week. It would be fantastic. Until then, I would just like to say goodbye from me. I hope you enjoyed that show. Please think about subscribing. You will get the shows each and every time I release them. And why not check out the videos? Worst science fiction books I have ever picked. Oh, they're there. Check it out. And while you're on, subscribe to the newsletter. You get Starship Sofa's Volume 1 free. fantastic writers in there. Just sign up for the newsletter and you'll get that.